Death Stranding is an adventure/hiking/baby daycare simulation game produced by Hideo Kojima alongside his studio, Kojima Productions. Now, when the game came out in late 2019, it was not divisive at all, actually. It was loved by everyone. It definitely was not called a walking simulator by anyone. Of course, that would be the good ending, but for the gaming community as a whole, the game was pretty polarizing. The story and overall atmosphere of the game was chock full of this mystery and intrigue, but many people found its gameplay to be repetitive and pretty monotonous. The game follows one Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, or as I know him, Angry Crossbowman. You follow him as he treks through a post-apocalyptic United States, making UPS deliveries and uniting the shattered remains of civilization using a keychain? Yeah, I'll be honest, most of the plot flew right over my head. Throughout the game, you also have to fight these Eldritchian entities known as Beached Things, or BTs for short.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the fuck is that?
The lore I can surmise for these things are basically they're kind of like souls that are in between life and the afterlife, and they're kind of trapped in this limbo. Either way, their main objective is to kill anyone outside, including you. Now, I mentioned before that a lot of people found the gameplay repetitive and monotonous, but personally I found the game really calming and serene. Somehow, Kojima made walking around from point A to point B delivering packages a really fun and enriching gameplay experience. What I found really fun about this game was trying to decide how I would get my character from point A to point B. Will I scale the mountain that's directly blocking my path, or will I walk around it? Should I risk an encounter with the BTs? What gear should I bring for this journey? These were all questions that I had in my mind as I set out on each adventure, and I found that really engaging. Of course, most of the gameplay is 90% walking around as you try not to trip on the tiniest microscopic pebble you find.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You alright?
Most of the main missions involve you trying to get every region to connect to the chiral network, which is kind of like the internet, except with souls. And once you connect a region to the chiral network, you essentially get connected to the network of other players. And this allows you to get access to what other players have built, like climbing ropes, ladders, roads, charging stations, and much more. I've even seen like the ghosts of other players tossing loot at me, trying to help me during a boss fight, which is insanely fun and awesome to see. You can pick up other players' lost cargo, which is cargo that they've left behind, and deliver it for them, and people can do the same for you. You can even use the vehicles that other players have created and stored in their locker. And it was this element of cooperative play that was so unique that Hideo Kojima himself coined a now infamous term for it: the Strand-type game. In short, it's a game where cooperative play and social interaction between players is a driving force in helping the players complete the game's objectives. I like to think about it in terms of the players being ice climbers and the strand between them connecting and supporting each other as they climb. I was so enthralled with this indirect cooperative type of gameplay that I immediately tried to search for more Strand-type games to play. I mean, surely in the 3 years since Death Stranding came out, there would be some games in this new genre to play, right? Right? Well, not quite. The only game that I could find that advertised itself as a new Strand-like game was a game called Strandings. Honestly, from the trailer, I really could not gather much about what this game was about exactly, but according to its Steam store page, you are a point of light in this new open-world Strand-type game. Create pathways through the darkness, nurture the creatures of the forest, repair ancient structures, and ultimately confront the witch who broke this place. The Steam page immediately piqued my interest because it advertised itself as a Strand-type game, which I could not find from any other game. Now, of course, Death Stranding has been compared to Breath of the Wild and Sable, which are games that emphasize heavy exploration throughout an open world, but I wanted to see the cooperative aspect of Death Stranding and how it applies to other games. Now, Stranding advertises itself as a Strand-type game, but in the description it's classified as a single-player game. So what exactly makes it a Strand-type game, I'm not sure, so I downloaded it and I wanted to try it just to see. Stranding is mainly played by a cursor, so you have to move your mouse around to move this tiny point of light throughout the world. The game is top-down and 2D, and it's essentially tile-based. There are tiles that are perfectly fine to walk through, tiles that will kill you, and tiles that just modify the way you move through them. Now, at first, the game doesn't really tell you about what to do, but you'll find these little notes that kind of hint at the lore and what you're supposed to be doing. There are animals that you'll find throughout the world, and most of them you'll find out have been transformed by the witch into the animals that they are, essentially being trapped in the forest. They'll each have their own ailments, and you'll have to bring them a special item to help them. For example, one animal was thirsty, so I brought him a little water bottle thing, and that helped him. So that's pretty much the majority of the game. I just have to bring animals what they need. And I had to traverse these deadly environments with tiles that would kill you if you stepped in them. Luckily, there are items that you can pick up and place down near tiles that can kill you to kind of purify them and make them safe to step on. So you can traverse through areas which otherwise wouldn't be possible. Even if you die, those items stay in place, so I ended up just making permanent pathways throughout the world. And that let me traverse the world a lot better. Honestly, the core gameplay is kind of repetitive and tedious, as you have to just bring items back and forth to the animals that need them. There's really not much more to it. I think this back and forth delivery type gameplay is what made them call this a Strand-type game, but honestly, it's the online indirect cooperative gameplay that makes a Strand-type game a Strand-type game. And which Stranding has none of that? Honestly, I didn't think moving the mouse around to move your player around would be too tiring, but when you die, you essentially have to move your character all the way back to spawn. And of course I would try to do that as fast as possible, which led to my arm hurting more than when I beat my I've seen a lot of people in the reviews complain about this, and honestly, yeah, it's a problem. And yeah, even for its low price, it's a big maybe for me. Yep, that's about it for me. I tried to find more Strand-type games to play, but that was literally it. It looks like the Strand-type game has not caught on whatsoever. Sorry, Kojima.